Okay. Here we go. And there's nothing special about these except they are ones that sometimes kids get confused by. And I think every single one of these, yeah, is a test question. So these are all test questions. So let's get through this and see what we think. So put the equation into vertex form. Now, thank you, Johnny. Do you remember what you're supposed to do? Do you remember what vertex form looks like?
It's the one where it's y equals mx.
Well, it's not really mx, it's y equals something times x minus something squared plus something, right? That's vertex form. Is that my iPad? Or was that someone's equipment? This seems to be going okay. All right, so what do we do? What do we have to do to make that equation look like that one?
Take a 2 out first.
So we're going to divide everything by 2. Please divide everything by 2. Don't be lazy. Physically do divided by 2, divided by 2, divided by 2. Now what?
We get y over 2. Oh, you already got it.
Subtract the 3. Because what are we getting ready to do? Complete the square. And completing the square means adding a number on here so that this is a perfect square. So what number are we going to add to both sides? 1. And we got 1 by taking half of 2 and squaring it. So half of 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1. Malcolm, you need to get in uniform, sweet pea. All right, so what perfect square do we have over here? X minus 1. And over here, we have, just combining those, this?
Yep.
Now what? Add the 2. So we have y over 2 equals x minus 1 squared plus 2. Moving this 2 back over, so it's out here. And then times it by 2. So y equals 2 x minus 1 squared plus 4. Remember, when you times by 2, you multiply the parentheses by 2, and then you multiply this number back here by 2. Right? Oh, I see a ton of no lanyards. Let's get our lanyards on.
So if you did the axis of symmetry equation, you found the vertex and you just plugged those numbers in.
Yep.
How do you find the 2 to get?
Well, actually, the 2 will always be right here.
So the leading coefficient always goes.
It's not going to change. This is still going to be 2x squared. Now, you want to be careful, Tanner, because on the test, the directions specifically say by completing the square. So you can do what you're saying to know what your answer should look like, but you have to go through these steps, completing the square. All right, do we all have our lanyards on?
Vertex is 1, 4.
The vertex would be 1, 4. Does it ask me for that?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. So there's our vertex form. Val, what was your question, honey?
My lanyard's in the locker room.
Oh. Didn't this just happen at Tech Theater the other day? It seems like this is a habit. Right?
I have my backpack.
Okay, well, where's it supposed to be? Yes. We'll deal with it. Okay, so let's get through our stuff. So where's our vertex, axis of symmetry, direction of opening? Here we go. Where's the vertex? 1, 4. Axis of symmetry, x equals 1, and direction of opening, up. Right? Now 2 is really the same question, find vertex, axis of symmetry, and direction of opening, but we're doing it a different way. On the test, guys, there is a question that says complete the square. So you need to be able to do this process. But you don't have to do it every time. Because there are some problems where you have a choice. So if you want to use the axis of symmetry formula, x equals what? Negative b over 2a.
Yep.
Which means that your vertex is negative 2 comma something. And when we plug in the negative 2, we do it very carefully. So negative 2 squared is 4 times 3 is 12. Make sure that's a 12. Minus 24 plus 6. Negative 6?
Yes.
And the direction of opening is up. We are not going to miss that. The only way the direction of opening will be down is if that number right there is a negative. It can be. And if that's a negative, then it opens down. We okay with that? Front side good? All right, back side, number 3. Write the equation of the parabola. Okay, so right here, this is what we're shooting for. And we know that the vertex is 2, negative 5, and it contains the point negative 1, 3. So we know Jalen says, look, if this is the vertex, then I know I have x minus 2 squared, and then minus 5. Because if the vertex is right 2 down 5, that's what this equation does. It takes your parabola, your x squared, and shifts it right 2 and down 5. Now, what's missing in this equation? Your leading coefficient. The thing that tells you which way it opens and how fat it is. So what do we do to find that? Take this other random point that you were given and put 3 in for the y and negative 1 in for the x and figure it out. So here we go. Negative 1 minus 2. Negative 3 squared. 9. So 3 equals 9n. Very good. Do not combine the 9 and the 5. They don't combine. This is 9n. So we'll add and divide. You get 8/9. So there's an answer blank there, and you're going to write the equation in the answer blank, and it's going to be this right here. Yep, this right here is the thing that goes in the answer blank. Got it? Sleepyheads? All right, here we go. Number 4. Write the equation of the linear function where f of 2 is 3 and f of negative 1 is 9. Okay, now wait a minute. Write the equation of the linear function. Y equals mx plus b is the first thing you're thinking. Y equals mx plus b. And then what's all that? Those are ordered pairs, right? So 2 comma 3 and negative 1 comma 9. So m is 9 minus 3, negative 1 minus 2, 9 minus 3, negative 1 So that is -2. And pick a point, either one, doesn't make any difference. Plug the y in for the y, the m in for the m, the x in for the x, and it looks like b is 7. So there's no answer blank, but there will be on the test. What do we write on the answer blank? Y equals -2x plus 7. And if you have time to check, this is easy to check. What should happen if we put -1 in for that x right there? If we put -1 in for that x, we better get 9 if we've done it correctly. What? 9 in for y. Yeah. Yep. And finally, factor and sketch. Now you've got some options here. Now that we've done the whole chapter, or the whole first part of the chapter, you have options. You really have 2 ways of factoring. You could group, but they don't all group, right? So if it doesn't group, or if you don't want to group, then you do your PRRs and guess. If you notice it groups, do you notice this one groups?
Yes.
Yeah. And that's easy for you, then that's the way you should do it, because it's quicker. It's always quicker to group. So let's see, we take out an x squared. Olivia, you feeling okay?
Yeah.
Huh?
Just done.
Well, get your head up. You're not done. You're never done. There's always more to do. So I take out a -16 from these last 2, and that leaves me with x minus 2. Everybody okay with that? Now, when we factor by grouping, we're still having some confusion. When you get your common parentheses, write it down, period. Don't square it. Don't put a 2 in front of it. It's just written down. And then you have everything else. X squared minus 16, which factors into x plus 4x minus 4. Now, let's say you were guessing. Let's say you didn't see that it grouped and you were doing your PRRs. What numbers would ultimately have been good guesses when you were PRRing?
2.
+2, -4, and +4. Those would have been the numbers that you would have needed to guess, if that's the way you were doing it. Okay, now we need to sketch it. So we have it factored. The nice thing about this one is there's no squares. I mean, there's no like factor squared. So it's just a plain old cubic curve that goes through 2, 0, -4, 0, and 4, 0. And since it's a cube,
Let's start down.
yep. There we go. Since nothing's squared, we just zip right down through all those points. Is that okay with everybody? All right, so here's what we're going to do now. I'm going to hand back your last tests.